Hi everyone and welcome to Curly-n-Yarny. My name is Milena and in today's video I will be doing a fiber experiment, so let's get started. Let me just take you back in time. So last summer I worked my Dorothy loom in order to weave dish towels. So in total I warped it for 8 different dish towels, and I decided that each and individual dish towels that I would be weaving would be woven with a different weft yarn. And if you've missed the video about the weaving of those dish towels, don't worry, I will link it in the description down below. My goal was to determine which of those weft yarn would be the most absorbent and which one I would like the most. So in my weaving life, I have heard many different opinions and many different stories about which is the best yarn to use for dish towel and which one is supposed to be the most absorbent, and I wanted to get to the bottom of this and see which one I like the best and which one I felt like would be the most absorbent. And today will be the day where we're going to figure this out. So what happened actually is that last summer I wove all of those dish towels, and then I realized that some of those fibers need to be washed a few times before we can really get their full absorbent potential. So I've given half of the dish towels to my parents and I kept the other half, and we use them every week for now maybe 6 months, so that's a long time, and in the hope to really see which one would be the most absorbent. For this project, I worked my loom with 8-2 cotton and I used 8 different weft yarn. So for the first towel that I wove, I decided to do kind of a control group. So I used 8-2 cotton also in the weft, so the exact same yarn. Then I used some cotton slub, I used some hemp, I used some cotton boucle, linen, bamboo, cotton linen, so cotton, a mix of cotton and linen, and finally I used some cotton chenille. But I must confess, for this towel I actually had more in mind of a hand towel because it is very thick. Still, it's part of the experiment because I wanted to see how absorbent it would be. Here's how the experiment's going to go. So first we're going to start with the towel that was woven with 8-2 cotton. So I'm going to fill out this tub here with water. Then I'm going to submerge the towel into it and let it absorb as much water as it can. Then I'm going to take the towel out of the tub and I'm going to squish it and try to squish all of the water out of it inside this measuring cup, and afterwards we will look how much water there was in the towel, and we're going to repeat this with all 8 towels. I'm taking good note of it, and then we'll be able to compare the results. So I haven't tried this beforehand, so I have no idea how it's gonna work, if it's gonna work, and if we're gonna see something different results between the towels. So let's just start this and we'll all discover this together. Okay, so the first test is now done. So now I have a big pile of wet towels. So those are gonna go in the dryer and get ready for the second test. In the meantime, I wanted to share with you my results. So we have 2 dish towels in the top position, and it is the curly-n-yarny towel and the cotton slub towel. So from those 2 towels, I was able to squish 400 milliliters. So they are, I'm not so surprised that the curly-n-yarny was in the top of the list, because it is very thick. So my guess is that the thicker the towel is, the more water it can absorb. I'm a bit surprised to see the cotton slub there, and to be honest, maybe the reason why it is on top of the list, it might be because it is more absorbent, but I know that there are quite a lot of margin of errors in my experiment. I don't think any scientific would be very proud of my method. So this is why I'm going to conduct test number 2, and I'm excited to see how they are both and all of them going to behave in test number 2. So in terms of margin of errors, I know that when I try to squish the towel, of course a lot of water is dripping out of my container. So those are all kind of milliliters that I lose count of. Also, before starting squishing, I let the water drip out of my towel, but maybe depending on how patient I am, maybe some of them had the chance to drip more than others. So that may be one of the reasons why maybe there was just more water still in it that must have been dropped and didn't. Also, another margin of error would depend on how strong I was to squish them. So maybe if I was unconsciously squishing this one even more than the other one just because I wanted it to win, maybe. So this is why a bit more water came out. But at the same time, I just stopped squishing when I couldn't see any more water going out. So I'm not sure how much of that an error it was, but it might have been. So let's just continue with those tests. So now the towels are dry, so we are ready to start test number 2. But I just realized I forgot to put on my mad scientist outfit, so I'll be right back. So for the second test, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fill this cup with 2 cups of water, or if you prefer 500 milliliters, yeah. Then I'm going to soak the towel in, and I'll try to see how much milliliters they absorb. So I'm going to check how many there is left, and the one that would have absorbed the most millimeters will be the winner of this test. So let's start this. So now we're going to do the most revealing test of all. We are going to wash some dishes. So let's get started. We have a lot of work ahead of us. So now all of the tests have been conducted and we are ready to declare our big winner. So I'd like to have a drum roll here, please. And our big winner, our most absorbent dish towels of all would be this one, the cotton slub towel. So on both tests, it came up as being the most absorbent of all the towels. Although I have to mention that it actually shares the first place with a second towel, which is the towel that I wove with some cotton chenille. But as I mentioned before, the cotton chenille towel is actually more of a hand towel, so I didn't feel like it was deserving the title of the most absorbent dish towels. So this is why this towel, the Slub towel, is sitting on top of the absorbency ranking. So in terms of other ranking, in case you're curious, actually of all the tests, the results were pretty coherent. So the results were pretty much the same with the two different tests. So I was surprised of that. Despite all of the margin of errors, we could see a tendency in the different towels. So right after the cotton slub, the two other most absorbent towels would be the one that I wove with 82 cotton and the one that I wove with cotton boucle. So cotton boucle is also a towel that is pretty thick, so it's almost a hand towel, so I also don't know how much I can give it the title of a dish towel, but it's still somewhere up there in the rankings. At the bottom of the ranking, the two towels that gave the worst absorbency performance would be the one that was made out of 100% linen and the one that was made of a blend of cotton and linen. So I was a bit surprised to see them there. According to my biased opinion, I thought that they would be the most absorbent towels, but this is why I conducted this test, just to see if my feelings were right, and I might have been wrong. So this is it for the results of the test. As I've mentioned before, there are quite a few margin of errors in this test, so I made this test just to have fun with it, and I really did, but I wanted to keep thinking about the different margin of errors and the different things that could have happened or impacted my results. So there's a few things that come in my mind, on top of my head right now. So I know that all of the experimental parts, so all the manipulations I made with the different towels, I know that there are many things that I could have been done differently to assure that I would have maybe more consistent with all 8 towels. I know that there are a lot of possible errors in this area, but I'm also thinking that all towels were woven differently, so they all have different threading and everything, and I'm wondering if in some of them are forms of 2x2 twill, but some of them are actually 3x1 twill, so I'm wondering if this could have impacted the absorbency of the towel. Also, some of the towels are longer than the other ones, only by a few inches, but still this could make a difference, I think, in the result. And of course, if I really wanted to make a fiber experiment, I think the best option would have been to weave each towel individually with the same yarn as the warp and as the weft, as here they all had the same common denominator, which was the same warp. But as I say it out loud, since they all had the same common denominator, they kind of started on the same base. So all the things to think about, it's maybe for a next fiber experiment, who knows. So I simply want to circle back to my big winner of this experiment. I want to circle back to my cotton slub towel, because this got me thinking a lot. So this test has really triggered my curious mind, and I'm having many hypotheses in my head as of why was it the most absorbent towels of all. And I mean, the results were quite similar to the 82 cotton, and I mean the only real difference between those two yarn would be the way that they had been plied, the way they would have been twisted. So the cotton slub, it kind of have the textures on it, as if the yarn is sometimes very tightly twisted like normal 82 cotton, and sometimes there's no twist in it and it's kind of a fluffy there. So I am really wondering if maybe this is the fluffy part that really helped absorb more water. I don't know, I'm really not a spinner, so I'd like to ask if some people here are spinners, do you know anything about this? Do you think this could have impacted my result? Maybe this is the reason why the cotton slub is more absorbent. So I'm really curious to have your thoughts on this. And I'm very curious to have your thoughts on all of the experiments. Actually, have you ever tried something like this? Do you have the same feeling about the yarn that you use? Do you have yarns that you feel are more absorbent than the other one? So I'm very curious to read you about that. So if ever you wanted to make the same fiber experiment, all of the yarns I used today will be linked in the description down below. So now there's one test that I haven't really talked much yet, and this is the third and the final one I made. So I think the most important one, so basically the one in which I actually used the towels to wipe some dishes, and I wanted to see if I could see a difference while I use them on a daily basis. I wanted to see if really there was one that I would come across as being more absorbent, or I would prefer. And I'm going to say something super cheesy. I'm so sorry, but I actually enjoy using them all. So while I use them on a daily basis, I don't really see the difference that much. So I actually enjoyed using all of them. So I'm sorry, in my heart they are all winners. So this is it for today's video. I had so much fun filming this video and making this video, and I hope you really enjoyed it too. If you did, make sure to give my video a big thumbs up. This actually helps my channel quite a lot. And on this, I really hope to see you soon. Bye bye.